Thank you for joining us today on our webinar titled SharePoint 2016 and Hybrid, What's New and What's Missing. Your host today is Microexcel. We are a full-service staffing and consulting organization focused on enabling businesses to get more done with technology. What makes us stand out is our flexible delivery model. With over 1,500 global employees, we have the ability to offer cost-effective projects and resources on-site, offshore, or a mixture of both. Couple that with our established practices around Microsoft, SAP, Oracle, Q&A, and staffing, we have the ability to provide subject matter expertise through most integration challenges and solutions. So I'd like to start out with a quick poll. So if you don't mind answering this quick question on what version of SharePoint you're using, that'll give us an idea of who the audience is. So you can go ahead and select the version that you're using. And it looks like a majority of you online just picked up are using SharePoint 2013. Okay, great. So thank you for your responses. That really helps us out. Our presenter today is Mahesh. Mahesh is one of our managing SharePoint architects and has been working with Microsoft technology for over 12 years. He's passionate about SharePoint and works diligently to keep up with the ever-changing platform and identify ways our customers can leverage the new features as well as utilize their existing investments. Today, Mahesh will walk you through his main observations and approach to maximizing the SharePoint 2016 platform. So with that, I will turn it over to Mahesh.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Mahesh Komanuru. As Jill explained, I'm the managing SharePoint architect with Microexcel with over 12 years experience in Microsoft technologies. So today I will be presenting the new features that came up with SharePoint 2016 and how it's gonna benefit clients in terms of the new features and functionality, and what's latest with the hybrid topologies, and we'll also cover what are those features which are no longer available in SharePoint 2016. Okay, Jill, I think you need to close the poll so that I can start sharing my screen.
That is correct. Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, before we jump onto the SharePoint 2016, I'm going to briefly touch about the release history and roadmap of SharePoint product. Where did SharePoint begin and how it evolved over a period of last 15 years. The very first version of SharePoint was called the SharePoint Portal Server 2001. Was of course released in 2001. The core idea behind this version of SharePoint is to provide a web interface and provide a web interface for a document management system and enable core collaboration, so that members from different teams can interact with the same set of documents instead of relying on emails. So that was the core idea when SharePoint Portal Server 2001 was released. 2003 was still an enhancement of that. Core collaboration was still the core objective of the product. Okay, as they moved to the Microsoft Office SharePoint Server 2007, which we used to call MOS 2007, it went beyond core collaboration, not just people from different teams interacting with the content on the web interface. They also went with a full-fledged integration with the Microsoft Office products, like your Microsoft Word, PowerPoint. So people started seeing new features like publishing your documents and PowerPoints directly into SharePoint. And then there was a blog feature that was integrated between Office and MOS 2007. So the idea, the core objective of that version was, go beyond core collaboration, cover content management, set up some additional features like a SharePoint search. Okay. So as they moved to SharePoint Server 2010, so SharePoint has already covered core collaboration, content management. The next thing that they started integrating was providing an enterprise social features. With SharePoint 2010, We also have the introduction to insights, like we have the BCS, SharePoint, fast search, and my sites and user profile pages. So the goal of SharePoint was to go beyond from a core collaboration and content management to a social, like an enterprise platform that can provide both your content management and also provide enterprise social features. So that was the driving factor to get more user adoption into SharePoint. During the same course, Office 365, which was called Microsoft Online Services prior to that, was started to picking up momentum. Many clients started looking into these solutions as a private cloud offering or a shared tenant offerings provided by Microsoft. By the time SharePoint Server 2013 was released, Office 365 was a fully fledged solution available for the clients, where Office 365 was providing a limited SharePoint Online functions that users can use from multi-tenancy, for those businesses who are not interested to invest on an on-prem SharePoint 2013. So there were migration approaches proposed, a good number of migration tools available in the market that can help you migrate your on-prem SharePoint 2010 to SharePoint 2013 online. But there was also this dilemma of clients, who wanted to migrate to an on-prem SharePoint 2013 and also wants to use the SharePoint online for certain business use cases. That's when the hybrid topology concept was introduced. So for those businesses who are interested to make use the best of both the worlds, they can set up a hybrid topology. Okay. Now coming to SharePoint 2016. So what is SharePoint 2016 all about? Okay. With SharePoint 2013, we already have a solid framework, that can provide a core collaboration, content management, enterprise social. It can provide an application frameworks where you can integrate with a different line of business. And in addition, you can create a robust SharePoint search using various features like a content search, web parts, managed properties, additional refiners. So what does SharePoint 2016 brings to table? How is it beneficial for the business? See, the objective or the mission statement from Microsoft is that bring the cloud-inspired experiences as part of SharePoint 2016. So when 2013 and Office 365 has been introduced to the clients, Microsoft was listening to a lot of feedback, what kind of changes that clients are looking forward. So if there is a new suggestion, if there is a scope for enhancements, Microsoft started releasing those feature set to Office 365. They didn't wait for a new version of Office 365. If you are on SharePoint Online, you are on SharePoint Online. There is no version number to SharePoint Online. If there is a new feature that Microsoft would like to introduce, SharePoint Online was the first to get that. So Microsoft was collecting all this feedback, all these experiences that various business was having with the SharePoint framework and SharePoint 2013. They brought all these features together, streamlined, and they are introducing all that as part of the SharePoint 2016. So that's the goal of the SharePoint 2016 on-prem server product, bring all those cloud-inspired experiences through SharePoint 2016 to all the on-prem clients. Okay, so this is the SharePoint 2016 vision and value, bring the cloud-inspired experiences to the on-premises. But there's a lot of improvements in hybrid, enable customers who are not in a position to move to cloud to use best of the both. SharePoint 2013 was already facilitating a hybrid topology. With SharePoint 2016, there are much more advancements in this aspect, not just a traditional inbound, outbound, or a two-way bound, hybrid topologies. But in addition to that, they have a new service application called Cloud SSA, which gonna facilitate a much better integration of search features between SharePoint Online and SharePoint On-Prem. Using this new hybrid, Dell from SharePoint Online can look into the content that is crawled from your SharePoint On-Prem and provide all those Dell analytics, like what are your most recent documents, what are the sites that you're following, and all those experiences are improved with SharePoint 2016 and SharePoint Online hybrid topology. The next important factor is the improved user experiences. With SharePoint 2013, especially for those clients who went with the hybrid topology, there is always a little conflict. The users are always little confused with the user experience, especially with the on-prem. The branding used to be different, and the SharePoint Online, the way the interaction with the sites used to be different, unless the client went with a custom branding solution. So SharePoint 2016 is a huge improvement on that. The SharePoint 2016 will continue to have the same branding elements, same look and feel, and same user experience that Office 365 and SharePoint Online is providing. For example, like an app launcher, which is available in Office 365, is now available in SharePoint 2016. And there are some new features that SharePoint Online is introducing this year, like a new interface and how you interact with your SharePoint libraries, and how you modify and update your properties for a specific document. All those experiences will be available with SharePoint 2016 on-prem. So for any business who is interested to set up a hybrid topology, the user experience will be seamless. It's not for the business users to understand the difference between SharePoint Online and the on-prem site. It's more for the IT pro and the IT team to set it up. It's for them to see the difference. For a business user, experience interacting with either a SharePoint Online site or with a SharePoint on-prem site should be seamless. So that's the core vision and value of SharePoint 2016. Microsoft is promoting this as a premier choice for organizations who are looking to take advantage of the latest innovations in both cloud offerings, while also maintaining those critical content and custom solutions that a business would have invested in on-prem. So SharePoint Server 2016 will help organizations break through performance and resilience, as well as quickly build solutions and extend data between on-prem and Office 365 with the confidence that data will be secured and on-prem. So before we jump into the new features, what's available as part of SharePoint 2016 and what's new in hybrid topology, let's visit a bit, and understand what are those features which are no longer available in SharePoint 2016. Okay, let's start with the first feature is SharePoint Foundation. There's no more a free version or a foundation version of SharePoint with 2016. With all the previous versions, there used to be always like a WSS 3.0 with MOS 2007, which is a free version that you can download from MSDN and set it up a core SharePoint platform without getting all those additional services. Same with SharePoint 2010 and 2013. There was a foundation version of it. With SharePoint 2016, there is no SharePoint Foundation available. So at the minimum, any business that would like to start using SharePoint 2016, they have to start with a SharePoint 2016 standard version. So any business who are running a SharePoint 2013 Foundation, they are still supported, and there is an upgrade path to SharePoint 2016 Server. Okay, so that's one of the major features which is deprecated. The second one is the standalone installation. So 2013 and SharePoint 2010 always had this standalone installation, which was used for mostly by development teams, or to do proof of concepts or a pilot program. A standalone installation basically supports installing all the SharePoint bits, all the SharePoint roles, both the front-end role, app server, distribution cache, everything into a single server along with a SQL Express. So all the three tiers, like your front-end tier, app tier, and the database, all residing in a single box, helping development teams or for any product development or do a simple proof of concept. This is no longer supported. There is a close alternate that's available in 2016, which I'll explain in next couple of slides. And the third feature, which is deprecated in 2016, is the Forefront Identity Manager client. So people, especially SharePoint architects or admins who are familiar with setting up user profiles and trying to configure a user synchronization service, will be familiar with this feature, with the Forefront Identity Manager client. This is the core framework that is to build a bridge between your Active Directory and SharePoint user profiles and provide a two-way synchronization of the user profile and its properties. Microsoft is replacing this with a better architecture, which is called they simply call it as Active Directory import. The current version of the Active Directory import, which comes with SharePoint 2016, is a one-way synchronization. It will help you to import user profiles and the properties from your Active Directory into SharePoint. So there are still a few more functions that Microsoft will be incorporating into the Active Directory import. And the fourth feature which is deprecated is Excel services in SharePoint. This is something major that every business needs to consider, especially if you are heavily relying on Excel services and the Excel web parts that comes with the Excel services web applications. These are no longer supported in SharePoint 2016. SharePoint 2016 provides a better integration and relies a lot on Power BI solutions, which are tightly integrated with your Excel Online and Excel On-Prem. So Microsoft is encouraging all the business to start using these better tools with the Power BI interface, rather than relying on the traditional Excel, charts and pie charts. So SharePoint 2016 no longer supports Excel services. The service application will not be available. So that's something business and IT teams should plan as they create a migration strategy to SharePoint 2016. The fifth feature which is deprecated is tags and notes. Tags and notes was part of the social enterprise feature. This is deprecated, but we have pretty good alternatives in terms of creating favorites and managing notes through that. STS ADM EXE, which was already deprecated in SharePoint 2013, is kind of still available in the backend in SharePoint 2016, but strongly recommended not to use. There are no more additional enhancements to it. PowerShell should be the tool that any SharePoint admin should be relying going forward to perform any of those admin activities that we used to do with the STS-ADM.exe. Okay, the seventh point, BI capabilities. This is not exactly a deprecation; it's more about a better versions or compatibility. SharePoint 2016 requires SQL 2016, especially to use the BI capabilities in an integrated mode. The BI capabilities were also available with SQL 14, but SharePoint 2016 cannot do a 100% integration or total interoperability with SQL 14 versions. So if you are gonna rely on the Power BI experience, if you're looking to provide those experience to the business, plan for a SQL 2016 as your database. Okay, so beyond this, there is no new version of SharePoint Designer. SharePoint Designer 2013 will still be supported and will still work with your SharePoint 2016. So there is no clear, there won't be a new version for SharePoint Designer, but there is a roadmap from Microsoft regarding better alternates. What are the tools that you can rely on for customizing or providing better user experience on SharePoint 2016. There's going to be Power Apps and few other tools which are already incorporated with SharePoint Online. Okay, InfoPath 2013 is still supported with 2016. There is no new version or no new alternate as of now that's proposed for as a prompt solution. Okay, so quick recap. These are the 7 features that you need to watch out, and features which are duplicated in 2016. SharePoint Foundation no longer available. Standalone installation is not supported. Forefront Identity Manager client is replaced with the Active Directory import. Excel services is totally deprecated. Business and teams should plan for a Power BI adoption. Tags and notes are not available. STS-ADM.exe is deprecated. BI capabilities will require SP16 to rely on SQL 2016 as its database. Okay, now we'll move on to what's new. So these are the new features that's available in SharePoint 2016. So basically, I'm going to categorize the new features into this specific set. We will discover and discuss on what's new in terms of architecture and performance for SharePoint 2016, and what's new for user experience, hybrid improvements, and what are the upgrade considerations and the future of SharePoint. During the course of discussing these new features, I will also provide a few demos on what's there with the architecture changes, what's new with the user experience, and what's available with the hybrid improvements. So let's start with architecture and performance. So the biggest improvement is the role management feature. There's something called min role, which is part of a SharePoint health and compliance feature. This will be part of SharePoint 2016 Central Admin and also the SharePoint 2016 Configuration Wizard. The SharePoint admin, SharePoint architects are pretty familiar with, when we design a SharePoint form, we consider a few roles, that we assign to the various servers in the form. Like, you define, like, what are the number of front-end servers, what are your application servers going to be. So within an application server, there are, like, further roles like, distributed cache, what are your search servers, what are your, going to be, servers that's going to run specific service applications. Okay. With the min role, is built into this configuration wizard of SharePoint, it's going to predefine these roles, you no longer need to configure those roles once the SharePoint form is set up. These roles, through the min role wizard, you're going to set up during the course of setting up your SharePoint form. Okay. The min role wizard is smart enough to understand the roles that you are defining for your various servers in the form and switch on those specific services on those specific boxes. Okay. And it's not just that, once the SharePoint form is set up, you can go back into SharePoint Central Admin. You can switch the roles using this interface. If you think, you have too many front-end servers, I need to change the role of I need to switch and make use of these front-end servers to be more as a dedicated app server. You can just get into the Central Admin. I'll show you those screens in next few minutes. And again, these role assignments are again optional. You don't need to stick this role assignments during configuration of your SharePoint form. There is an option called custom role. Once you choose those options for your servers, you're pretty much saying that I'm going to follow the same traditional approach that I used to do in SharePoint 2013, so that the admin will have a manual control on to turn on those services that he seems necessary for each box. Okay, let me bring up my lab with a SharePoint 2016 install here. Okay, this is my SharePoint 2016 lab. Perfect. This is my central admin. As you can see, the central admin, the look and feel, the user experience is still same as SharePoint 2013. Not much of a difference. If you go to system settings, that's where the dashboard for all your configurations. Click on manage servers in this form. You see this new feature called compliant and role. It's basically saying, what kind of a role is assigned to my server. This setup currently is a single server form. I just have all my roles into one single option. So let me go back and explain you what are various roles available here. Convert server role in this form. So from this screen you can see what are the various predefined roles that are available through the min role. So these are all the various roles: application, front end, distributed cache, search, custom, and single server form. The single server form is your closest alternate to standalone installation from SharePoint 2013 and 2010. With a single server form, I am saying that I am using this server both as my front end and also as my app server. So that's one option. Beyond that, you have the custom role option. Custom role is pretty much saying that I'm going to do a manual override. I will define what are the various services that I need to configure for each of the server in my form. And then we have the search, distributed cache, front end, and application. So when you choose these roles, as you set up a SharePoint form, the role management wizard is smart enough to turn on those services for you, so that you don't need to manually configure that anymore. So that's about the new feature available in 2016 called the role management. So the next improvement in terms of performance is a zero downtime patching. So Microsoft is trying to achieve this through a smaller CUs. So our admins are familiar that we get almost a cumulative update every month from Microsoft that we patch. During the patching, most of the time it requires to plan for a downtime, and that results that you need to plan offline hours, send a communication to your business saying that the site might be down for a few minutes. Microsoft is trying to avoid that, especially with providing a smaller payload with a smaller CUs, so that you can install them mostly offline, but that's not necessarily take the sites down. So users can still access your applications on SharePoint, and admin can still proceed with patching without invoking a lot of change management protocols and cycles. The third point is the automatic management of indices. Right now with SharePoint 2013, there is a view threshold of 5,000 items. If you try to query beyond 5,000, SharePoint list and library can accommodate millions of documents and items in it. But there is this concept of 5,000 threshold. If you try to query more than 5,000, Microsoft won't allow you that. And SharePoint provides you an error saying that you can't query beyond 5,000 items. The reason for that was automatic index concept that runs on the SQL backend. It can't index beyond the 5,000 items on a dynamic query. So in SharePoint 2013, you need to manually index a specific columns in your SharePoint list so that you work on this list threshold, or you increase it from central admin. So going forward, I think this dynamic management of index on SQL 2016 will be pushed close to 20,000. So that going to help in a lot for any of your development solutions or custom solutions where you need to query beyond 5,000, or where you are breaking permissions of the SharePoint list and you have items beyond 5,000. So till 20,000, you can easily break the permissions and re-inherit the permissions. So that's a huge improvement in terms of architecture and performance. The next one is the project server integration with SharePoint 2016. With SharePoint 2013, project server was just another service application with a proper license. You get that as a service application on top of your SharePoint 2013 form. But the database that's associated with project server was not compliant with the SharePoint content database. So it used to have its own architecture, and project server has its own database and data structure. With 2016, that is eliminated, and project server content will be part of a SharePoint content database schema. So SharePoint, the SharePoint will be compliant with your project server DB. So you don't need to worry about supporting or having a separate support cycle for a project server DB. There's a huge improvement in content DBs. So Microsoft has a huge case studies, with the SharePoint Online tenants. They run these huge data centers, providing multiple tenants for different clients, hosting on the same data centers, right? So they were able to scale a specific content database to terabytes. Even the course of SharePoint 2013, they provided certain baselines. If your network was able to reach up to those baselines, Microsoft was recommending that you can have your content database scale beyond 200 gigabytes. With 2016, both SharePoint 2016 and SQL 2016 combination, you can now easily scale content DBs into terabytes, so that you can plan without the need to worry that my content database cannot go beyond 200 gigabytes. Kind of that you can have multiple departments now running from the same content database. But I will just caution that be prepared to handle the load when you try to do a backup or restore. If you have a 500 gig site collection or a 500 gigs content DB, it's going to take time to do a backup and restore it. So I would recommend all the architects to keep that in mind when you plan a capacity planning or do a SharePoint topology. The next improvement is the number of site collections. It used to be 20,000. Now 100 site collections are supported for each content database. Okay, the next one is list view threshold will reach more than 5,000 items. It's again in combination with the item 3, where we discussed about automatic management of indices. So the list view threshold will go beyond 5,000. I think it's roughly estimated to be 20,000. So it will be confirmed, and an Amazon article will be published pretty soon on that. And also the maximum upload size has been increased from 2 gigabytes to 10 gigabytes. Okay, so that's again a huge improvement, especially for those business who are using blobs or remote blobs with SharePoint integration and are looking to store larger files like videos or AutoCAD files, now you have a higher limit, 10 gigabytes. So that's with architecture and performance. We will move on to the next set of architecture and performance. So there are a couple more in this, the SSL configurations are simplified for central admin. Now there is a PowerShell commandlet, set SP central administration, give the right port number on that parameter secure sockets layer, and it can configure a central admin into a HTTPS or SSL protocol. There are also improvements for your content database compliance. There are few interfaces available with the PowerShell. Now you can directly check your database compliance with this PowerShell commandlets. In the past, to get these details in 2013 or 2010, we used to have this free Codeplex tool called SharePoint Manager. You download that and then use that to check few things like if my DB is corrupted, if there are any features like an orphan features that I need to look for, or any orphan webs. So PowerShell has a few more improvements in the toolkit. So you can run this. This is just a sample of that. There are furthermore. So there are nice articles on MSDN regarding these improvements on PowerShell. So please watch out for that space. So it's going to make easy for architects and admins to directly rely on the PowerShell to check for an orphan webs or check for duplicate content types and all these features. If you have any questions, meanwhile keep adding your questions into the webinar. At the end of the webinar, I'll be taking up the questions and we will discuss all the answers for that. Okay, the next part of this is the user experience. As I said, SharePoint 2016 vision is to provide a unified user experience across SharePoint Online and SharePoint On-Prem. So I'll go through this. Like the file size is increased from 2 gigabytes to 10 gigabytes. There is an app launcher. This is an app launcher. Right now I'm in a SharePoint Online. This is app launcher. So the app launcher is also available on SharePoint On-Prem sites going forward. For site creation. Okay, creating a site collection on a SharePoint On-Prem used to take some time because it used to load up a site definition, the template that you're going to choose, and you have to go through the entire process of reading the definition and recreating a site collection. There is a huge improvement in that aspect. Creating site collection now is going to take just few seconds. Microsoft is promising a second, but so far our evaluation is not a second, but but there is a huge improvement. Within seconds you're going to create a site collection. So there is a whole new framework on how site collections are created in 2016. Okay, the file name restrictions are used up, especially for the special characters and GUIDs. So many of the special characters are now supported as part of your file name. So you don't need to rename before uploading them to SharePoint. However, there are a couple of special characters which are not supported by SharePoint. An example are the percentile and hashtag. These are still not supported, but your ampersand and hyphen underscores are pretty much supported. There are also improvements in the mouse hovering, like especially with your Office Web Apps integration. So if your SharePoint form is integrated with Office Web Apps, you can get a previews of your Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, PDF, or an Excel. Now, SharePoint On-Prem can also provide a preview of your image and video. These improvements were already available in SharePoint Online. Now will be available in SharePoint On-Prem as part of SharePoint 2016. And similarly with the folders, there is a whole different user experience creating folders and sharing folders in a SharePoint Online Office 365. The same experience is now integrated and packaged with SharePoint 2016. So you can go to SharePoint 2016, create folder and share this folder right from that interface. Now let's jump on to the hybrid improvements. So there is a huge improvement in the hybrid, especially in the cloud platform. There is a new cloud search service application that is released as part of SharePoint 2016. So there is one cloud SSA that will be available for one form. So once you configure a cloud SSA, and the better part is that the scripts that that are required to configure the cloud SSA are already available with SharePoint 2016, and so you just need to run those scripts and provide the necessary parameters, like what is your SharePoint online tenancy is, and what is your admin account through which you're gonna build this integration between your cloud SSA and SharePoint online. So everything is readily available. Once you configure that, there is a SharePoint outbound search implemented, so that your SharePoint online index server can crawl all the content from your on-prem, and your SharePoint online Dell can look into this content and provide a much better office analytics, like the documents that you're accessing, the recent documents, the documents that your fellow team members are accessing. So you're going to see a whole lot of Dell interface using this cloud hybrid search. So before I jump onto that, there are a few more improvements onto the My Sites and user profiles. So there is a unified user profile concept. Once you configure a hybrid topology, you can set up My Sites such a way that either you can push all your audience, all your company users to rely on SharePoint online user profile, or you can say that, okay, I have two sets of audience, a mobile audience and an office audience. I need only my mobile audience to make use of the hybrid features, make use of the SharePoint online features, and I can set that through the central admin, saying that only this audience can use the My Sites and on SharePoint online, whereas the rest will still rely on the user profiles and My Site that I configured from my on-prem. So I'll show you where to do those changes. Again, these changes, this configuration was available in SharePoint 2013 SP1, but there are further improvements to it. Similarly, with a hybrid OneDrive for business, you can set whether all my company users are going to use OneDrive or only specific set. You can configure these things from a SharePoint central admin. So let me jump onto my test lab and show you where these things are configured. Office 365. So this is where you configure your hybrid features. You can configure an integration with Yammer. You can configure hybrid OneDrive and site features. So this is my SharePoint online My Site URL, which I gave it here. If you see these options, right now I set it to everyone, so that everyone from my company are going to rely on my SharePoint online for their My Site and user profile features. But you can choose specific audience, so that only this audience will be able to use this SharePoint online user profile feature, whereas the rest of the company will still rely on my on-prem. And you can also select if you want to provide hybrid features, both for OneDrive or My Sites, or just OneDrive only, or you can totally turn it off. So these are the options that are available as part of the hybrid topology. Okay, and again, you can also do a separate Yammer integration from your on-prem. Go back here. Okay, so the other two important features part of hybrid improvements are the cloud hybrid search and integration with a Dell and Office Graph API that can look into the content that is indexed through your SharePoint online search service. Okay, so I'll jump onto a couple of demos here. I'll show you, how the cloud hybrid search service application, looks like, and I'll also pull up my, SharePoint online site to show you how the Dell and Office Graph API works on it. If I go to my application management, manage service applications. Okay, so I created a couple of such service applications here. This is my search service application for on-prem, which is my traditional search service application, which you could have created just from here. Okay, but as for a search service application for cloud, it's not something you can create from the interface. This is only available through PowerShell, and the scripts necessary to create that are already available and published on the TechNet. So let me go into the search service. This is my dashboard for the search service cloud. You can clearly see a message. This is a cloud search service application. It crawls on-prem content for your cloud hybrid search. And whereas the necessary search settings has to be configured on the SharePoint online. the interface is pretty much same. Once you get into interface, this is same as managing any of your such service applications on-prem. You can define your content source. Right now I have a default content source. You can split that based on your information architecture. You can have separate content source for your DMS content. You can have separate content source for your intranet. You can have separate content source for your business process automation and content. So whatever the architecture that or whatever be the landscape of SharePoint applications, plan it accordingly. So the interface is same, but to create a cloud search service application, you need to use certain PowerShell scripts that Microsoft has already created for you. I can go back to, excuse me. So you can see what are the such service applications that are running in my form, one for on-prem, one for cloud. The reason that I create an on-prem is basically to provide a hybrid or a high available concept in my hybrid, just in case if my SharePoint Online is down or my tenant is down, so people can still rely on my on-prem search solutions. So I still keep indexing the content using my search on-prem, and I store those index files on my on-prem servers. So now let me jump onto my SharePoint Online site, and I'll show you an example of how Delve and SharePoint Online Search make use of this content. Okay, this is if you pay attention to this URL, this is my on-prem lab, and this is my SharePoint Online site. Okay, let me go to Delve. Okay, so if you go to me, it shows it normally shows all the documents that I accessed recently. So this is a document, something with the issues list, which I accessed 2 hours back. And if you look at it, this is a document coming from my on-prem. If I try to open the document, it goes to my on-prem. So this is where the document is residing. Since I set up a hybrid topology and I am using a cloud SSA, Delve is going to rely on the indexing the content that's indexed from my on-prem, which is stored on my SharePoint Online tenant. And it's going to look into that and build a whole analytics on top of it. So it shows, okay, these are the documents that I recently accessed. This is that consistent user experience that I was explaining. If a business user who is on a mobile, who is making use of both SharePoint Online and SharePoint On-Prem, he doesn't need to worry about going to 2 different places to search for content. He can just come here, search for the content and interact that content directly from one single interface. So I can look for content that is coming from on-prem, or I can look for content that is coming from my SharePoint Online site. This specific document at the end is coming from a SharePoint Online site. It's coming straight from here. Okay. So that's the whole concept of using a hybrid topology with a cloud search service application, providing that unified experience so that users can rely on a single interface. I can mark documents as my favorite and go back to my favorites. So favorites is basically creating a marking or creating a favorites on your internet browser, right? So that they're always there. Whereas my recent documents keep changing depending on what I'm accessing every day. Whereas favorites are my items that I already bookmarked them, so that I can always go back and retrieve those documents. It is not only with the documents. If I go, I can also follow sites. There is something called SharePoint app. Click on the SharePoint app. From the SharePoint app, I can follow sites both from my on-prem and from my cloud. So this is my on-prem SharePoint 2016 site, whereas my Countersoft team site is a cloud site. See that rich unified user experience. So users can rely on a single interface. If the client is going with a hybrid topology, we can make this as the landing page for all the business users. So user comes to office, they can just rely on their Delve as the home page or a SharePoint landing page, where they can get content, where they can access content across the domains. Not just your SharePoint Online, but your SharePoint On-Prem. So it also throws suggestions. The suggestions are again from the Delve, the Office Graph API. It keeps looking into various trends. What are the sites that your team is interacting with? What are the sites that you refer to so often? It brings all those information, present you in a dashboard, so that you have options to follow. I can follow I keep looking at my benefit sites every month. So why don't I just mark it as my favorite, so that I can always jump into with a single click. Okay. In addition to that, I'll also demo some new features that are available in your SharePoint library. So this is my SharePoint library. You could see there's a whole new interface for document library now. This is no longer your traditional SharePoint library interface. So I can simply upload a document from here, or I can still drag and drop. Let me see if I have a few test documents here. Okay, so I'm dragging a document across here, dropping it here. Okay, and I can check this. I can open the details panel, get a preview of the document, and edit the properties right here. It used to be a two-step process like this before. But with the new information panel, click on this eye icon at the top. You can get all the activity details. And also, if you want to look for the entire properties, just select the document and you'll see the entire properties right on the information panel. It shows who modified it, who you are sharing this document with, what is the recent activity, if someone edited or someone made a new version of this document. So all this information is available readily with few clicks. So it's providing a better user experience to the users. So that's a huge improvement. This is currently available in SharePoint Online, which will be pushed into SharePoint 2016 too. Okay, with that, let me go back to my presentation. So we had a couple of demos on that. So I'm gonna just do a quick architecture review of how the Cloud SSA is gonna work. So on the left, this is to be your traditional search topologies. For a SharePoint Online, you have content, then there is indexing server. The SharePoint crawl, look into the content, store the index files on-prem, and you can pretty much search from the on-prem. And it should be same topology, but stored on the SharePoint Online. With the hybrid search scenario, your index server is going to stay on the SharePoint Online. Once you set up a Cloud SSA, the Cloud SSA talks to the SharePoint crawl service on your SharePoint Online, and then that looks into the content, both the content on online and on-prem, and create those index files. Okay. This is pretty much the same topics we discussed. So this will explain how you're going to configure your SharePoint hybrid search. So we have all these components: the on-prem content, your content on your SharePoint Online. Number 3 is the SharePoint crawl coming from SharePoint Online. The Cloud SSA, which you configure on SharePoint on-prem. So there is a communication between the Cloud SSA and the SharePoint index from SharePoint Online. So this explains the entire architecture for that. Okay, so that brings to the end of our presentation. So we have 10 minutes left. I think it's the right time to take any questions. So let me see if there are any questions here.
Okay, thanks, Mahesh. Let's see if we have any questions here. We do have one question. What are my options to upgrade from SharePoint 2010? Do I need to be on 2013 to migrate to 2016?
Good point. So there is no direct upgrade path from 2010 to 2016. Okay, so if you are planning to upgrade to 2016 using the traditional DB attach and detach, you need to plan for a staging server. You need to plan for a SharePoint 2013 staging. So you need to first upgrade your DBs or your SharePoint content into a SharePoint 2013 form, attach them to a SharePoint 2013 form so that the schemas are updated accordingly. Only then you can mount those DBs into SharePoint 2016. To upgrade to SharePoint 2016 directly from SharePoint 2010, either you need to follow the staging option or you can rely on third-party migration tools, which are pretty good in moving the content across various versions of SharePoint.
Okay.
If you are planning to upgrade from 2013 to 2016, you can still follow the same traditional upgrade process of detaching your content DBs and mounting them onto SharePoint 2016 and let them the mount run a DB upgrade. Or if you want to do a controlled upgrade, we recommend using a SharePoint migration tool. Do a pilot, evaluate which is the right tool for you, and plan a migration strategy accordingly.
Okay, great, thanks. I do have one more question.
Sure.
Can the hybrid search and delve features be set up with SharePoint 2013?
Okay, that's a good point. There was an hybrid topology already available with SharePoint 2013. You can set up an inbound, outbound topologies or a two-way bound, and setting up a proper reverse proxy with your SharePoint Online. With that, you can use a search model, but you can create a hybrid search. But the cloud SSA is still not yet available to be configured with SharePoint 2013. So if you are looking to use the SharePoint 2013 as it is, you can go ahead and set up that inbound, outbound topologies and use a hybrid search. The cloud SSA service application might be available down the lane. Look out for Service Pack 2. There is already a discussion on how to deliver that part into SharePoint 2013. Most probably a cloud SSA service application might be available with SP 2013 as part of Service Pack anytime soon.
Okay, and sort of a related question here. Will the
Sure.
cloud hybrid search support crawling content using external content types?
It's a good question. It's same as your on-prem service application, right? Whatever the search features that you're providing from your on-prem search service application is going to be the same. So we are able to crawl certain external content type, which was stored into your SharePoint list. So that content can still be crawled using your SharePoint Online. Yes.
And one last question.
Sure.
Can hybrid search work the other way? For example, Office 365 SharePoint Online searching for content on-prem.
Jill, come again, please.
Does the hybrid search capabilities, does it work both ways? Can you search for content that's on-prem from your SharePoint Online instance? And can you also do it the other way from your on-prem instance to search for content in SharePoint Online?
Yes, definitely possible. Yep. That was already there with 2013 with a two-bound hybrid topology. So you can crawl the content that's there in your SharePoint Online and either way.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well that concludes our questions and that concludes our presentation. I appreciate everyone spending your time with us today. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a quick survey if you don't mind filling that out before you exit. So thanks a lot and have a great day.
Thank you everyone. Have a good one.